Well, hello, this is Rosa, RCG Creations today. RCG Creations, how are you doing? I'm bringing you today a video on pressure canning chili and canning saltine crackers for winter storage. So here's everything in my pot. Let me bring you to the pot. I've got my seasoning spices, tomato sauce, ground beef, and we like beans in ours, but we use black beans. Hubby likes those. And all I do is get a can of black beans and I drain it, and then I put the drained beans inside there. So this is going to simmer for about 15 minutes, and then we'll bring it back. Okay, we're back. Now we're getting ready to can. I've filled my jars. I'm down to the last one. I had to refill some of these. So I thought I was going to have this jar, but I didn't. So that's just going to be extra. So what you always want to do is, number one, wipe down your ring with a wet towel. I like to put white vinegar on my wet towel, make sure it's damp. And then go all the way around. And then with my clean hand, I double check, make sure there's no rivets, cracks, or anything like slivers or anything on that. And if it is, that's good, because I have oil in my hand, because everybody has natural oils in their hand. I go back in and I wipe it again. I already debubbled. Here's my debubbler. And all you're doing, you debubble, is you're pushing it in there. You're getting all the air pockets out. When you debubble, sometimes you have to refill your item, the food that's in there, because we want a 1-inch headspace, and 1-inch headspace is this bottom lip right down here. So, because I just debubbled just to show you, I'm going to make sure I didn't accidentally have any kind of food. And look, there was a little bit, not much, but a little bit. Get my little magnetic item here. This is in hot water. The new ball lids, you don't have to put in hot water and let them soak and let the rubber soften. These are Harvest Guard lids. And you want to close this finger tight, so you hold it with one hand. I'm a righty. Close it, then I just use your middle finger and your thumb, and it's tight. You don't want it to be real tight, but you want to have it tight. So, and this is what's left over, which is not even worth saving, but like 2 bites and you're done with it. Now, save your vinegar, because you're going to put this in the water, and I'm going to take you there in just a minute. Hubby's going to help me because I'm too short to get into the canner. And we'll put them in there, and I'll bring you over there back in a minute. But we're going to be using this vinegar to pour into the water. So, because this has got tomato product, it's going to leave film. There is going to be some kind of seepage. And you don't want to get a bunch of junky stuff on that. This just helps the look of the jars afterwards. It doesn't affect it in any way. It just helps get the look off the jars. Off the glass of the jars. Okay, let me bring you back. Hold on a second, I'll bring you back in a minute. Okay, here is the canner. I had 2 extra to stack on the bottom. Hubby's gonna put it together because I'm a shorty, I can't reach. So hubby's gonna put the lid on. He doesn't want to be in the video, so I'm not gonna make sure I show him. I have the All-American, so you want to line up your little notch with the arrow, and then you do 2 opposites from each end at a time. You don't get it really tight until you got them all on there. You just tighten it, but not really tight. And the water is warm, but we had to add some more water, because I was supposed to do this yesterday, but I was too exhausted after work. Okay, so now he's tightened them all up. We're going to turn the water on, the heat on to high, because we want this to start to boil. Oops, we moved it a little bit. I'll push it back a little bit, puppy. No, back toward the burner. There you go. Yep. It's going to put it on 10. We're going to wait for it to come up to pressure. Once it comes up to well, actually not pressure. Once the little, whatever that little thing's called, I'll put it in the description box, and I'll put it pop out. When that little thing starts to steam, and when it's a solid, steady steam, Then I put my timer on, and we'll come to that next phase. So we'll bring you back when we're at that next phase. Okay, I'm going to bring you to the canner, and you can see the steady stream. Once you've got a steady stream, that's when you set your timer for 10 minutes. When the 10 minutes is up, then you set your time for the processing. And since this has meat and in there, processing for this chili is 90 minutes. Let me double check it. Take that back. It's 75 minutes when you're doing pint jars, and I'm doing pint jars in this batch. So I already have my timer on because it's already been going for a little bit. And so the timer will be going to the next phase. I'll bring you once all the canning is done. Well, actually, no, I'll take you to the next phase, so that way for a beginner newbie, they know step by step what's going on. So I'll bring you at the next phase once the timer goes up after 10 minutes. Okay, the 10-minute timer is up, but I was incorrect. When the 10 minutes is up, you put your weight on. And I'm at 10 pounds of pressure. So I'm going to put mine on where there's numbers all the way around here. There's 5, 10, and 15, so I'm going to put mine on 10. And I'm using tongs because this is hot. Okay, once this starts to jiggle, you'll hear it jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. When it's a reverse jiggle, turn down your temperature because you want it to be at 240. You want with this particular canner. Double check your canning instructions for your particular canner. So once this reaches 240, this should start jiggling. Then turn down your heat. That's when you start your timer for your processing time. And this is going to be 75 minutes. So I don't need my tongs right now, but I will need them when I get ready to take this off after this whole process is over with. But I'll bring you back at that next phase then. Oops, sorry. I ran right in front of the camera. Sorry about that. Okay, I'm bringing you to the pressure cooked canner. You hear that jiggle? You'll hear it jiggle, then it'll stop, and then it'll jiggle. And you see the temperature? You see the temperature, sorry, I'm moving my tripod. Do you hear that? It jiggles off and on. And see the timer, it's well, not too much the timer, it's the temperature at 240, and there's where you want it to be. And after you do a couple of these canning sessions, you'll know your sweet spot on your, let me angle the camera. My sweet spot is on number 6. I can't tell if you can see that or not, but it's on number 6. And if I leave mine on number 6, it always stays at the right temperature. So after a few canning sessions, oops, sorry, move the camera, but I'm trying to lay it back down and the tripod back down again. You'll learn the sweet spot, so you'll know where you're, you can actually kind of walk away, but you still want to hear it. But I have my craft room that's right next to the kitchen, and there's an empty doorway, so I can hear everything perfectly. And I'm always paying attention, making sure that I can hear the little jiggle. You want to, there it goes again. I'm being quiet so you can hear. And you want it to go off and on, off and on, off and on. Now, you don't want it to go constantly with never going off and on, because if that does happen, you're going to burn out the water in the canner. That's why you always have to make sure what kind of canner you have and how much water you need in there. This All-American, I think this is the 921, let me check. Yeah. Mine's the American, All-American 921. So it calls for anywhere from 2 to 3 inches of water. And I just use, let me show you. This is what it came with my little kit when I first got my canning kit. You know, to get the kit, you get the, what do you call this? What do you call this? the tongs. I think it's the canning tongs, but I could be wrong. You get this and some other stuff in the kit. And then a friend of mine gave me her old canning stuff, with her old funnels and stuff. But I just got a Sharpie. It's kind of wearing off after a while. And I measure with a tape measure 2 and 3 inches. That way I knew always exactly what it is. And I use this for my water. And I also use this for the debubbler. And it has measurements. I'm upside down. It says 1 3/4, 1/2, and 1/4. And that's how you measure your jars to know if it's a 1 inch. Because each recipe determines how much headspace you give it. And so that headspace is on these little indentions here. And then this is just another one that I use because I have a black Sharpie on here and I don't want to get this in my food, so I try not to use this for putting in my food, only this part here for debubbling. Then I have this extra one as a backup because you never know. But I'll take you back when we're done processing. Okay, my processing time is over. So I'm going to turn the counter off. The heat, excuse me, not the counter. Turn the heat off. You let it do its whole thing. Once the dial gets to 0, that's when we remove the plate. Let me get my directions. I want to make sure I'm telling you right. Once it hits 0, you wait 2 minutes. So set the timer for 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah, we leave the weight on. Once the canner is at 0 on the dial gauge, you keep an eye on the dial gauge. Remove the weight. Once it hits 0, oh wait a minute, turn off the heat. You leave the weight on. Once the canner is at 0 on the dial gauge, keep an eye on the canner. Oh yeah, when the dial gauge hits 0, then we take the weight off, set the timer for 2 minutes, okay? And then after 2 minutes, then we unbutton the bolts. And then we wait, set the timer for 5 minutes, and then we take the jars out of there. And it's because you don't want to crack your jars after all this hard work you've done and money and expense of doing all this. You don't want to ruin it all by moving too fast. Okay? So, and I will have step-by-step instructions in the description box on how to do all this. I've done this, but I only do canning in this fall and winter time. So it's been about 5-6 months since I did this. So, but thank goodness I have my instructions. Thank goodness for the instructions. Okay, so we'll bring you back on that. I'll check it out. It's probably going to be about 20-25 minutes when it goes down to 0. And we'll bring you back. Okay, we're back. I'm bringing you up. I zoomed you in. You can see the dial gauge is on 0. See that? So now I can take my weight off. Can you hear it bubbling? That's the bubble in the hot water in the jars. That's why you want to use tongs. Because these are hot. That's hot. And actually I'm going to put leave it on my spoon rest so it could cool off. Now I'm going to wait. What's my directions say to do next? After it hits 0, you take the weight off, wait 2 minutes, and then we unbutton the jars. Oh yeah, here's one more thing I forgot to tell you. After timer 2 minutes. Okay, so it's 11:03 and 11:05. Probably by the time I go through talking. Okay, so I'm going to wait 2 minutes, and then you're going to untoggle. Now this is on the All-American. Do what your instructions on your manual say to do. Okay, sorry. I can't see it because it's my blurry. I just need readers to read the close. So you want to undo 2, other 2, and the other 2. You always want to do the opposite ends. Okay, and then once you've undone them all, then you're going to let them fall. Because they're on a little metal thing here. They're going to fall, and you're just going to twist it and crack it open just a little bit for 5 minutes. Once that 5 minutes is up, then take off your entire lid, put it to the side somewhere, because this is very, very hot, so don't touch any of this stuff. It's hot. Put this to the side somewhere so it can cool off naturally. I put it on my little dish drying mat, one of those full ones you put on the counter. I put that on there, and then hubby will come out because I can't reach because I'm too short. I burn myself because it's so hot. And he's going to put them on the towel here and let them rest, and they're going to sit there for 24 hours. And actually for me, till the next day when I come home from work. Then I'm going to take them off, take off your rings, get a wet soapy towel, hot soapy wet towel, wipe off the lid, wipe off the jars all the way around, label them, and then you can store them away. But make sure you check each one, and I will bring you into that next phase. I'll make sure you check each jar. So we'll bring you to that next phase when we get to that phase there. Okay. Okay, now the 2 minutes is up. So, because this is really hot, I'm getting my pot holders, and all I'm doing is loosening them up. And see how they dangle? And you want to do to the two opposite sides. Hubby tighten these up so they're kind of hard, but I'm getting it. And you want to do the other two. And then here's where you want to, you're supposed to pick up and twist. I never can get it because I don't have enough grip. Okay. Nope, can't do it. But I'm going to get hubby to the rescue. He'll be right back. Okay, hubby unloosened it for me. I have wrist issues. So what you want to do is you just want to pick it up a little bit. You don't want to take it off. You just kind of want to vent. Oops. There's a way to do it. There it is. Got it. You want to vent it for 5 minutes. So we'll be back in 5 minutes. And then when the 5 minutes is up, hubby's going to take the jars out. And then we're done for the night till tomorrow. And I'll bring you at that next phase. Okay, as you can see, the canner's barely got it on the lip there. So, let me get my book. I don't want my book to get wet. Do you hear them ping, ping, ping? You hear those pings? That's what you want, those ping, ping, pings. Ooh, this baby's hot, heavy. Okay. Now, you want to get your tongs. Be very careful. Don't tilt your jars. If there's any water, they'll eventually evaporate away. Okay. And you'll see them bubbling. That's exactly what you want. Now, let me end this so hubby can do the rest of them for me. And I'll bring you right back when they're all out of the canner. Okay, there are all the jars. We got 3, 6, we got 9 jars in this batch. And that was made with 8 pounds of ground beef. But I will tell you this, we had chili 2 days ago when I made the first batch. But then I got too exhausted and they stayed in the fridge. And then the second batch we made today. But we had chili again today because neither one of us felt like cooking. But I wanted to show you, see the water residue? That is normal for any tomato product to have residual coming out of the jars. That's why you always want to wash your jars and your rings and your lids before you put them away in your pantry shelf. Okay, so that's the end of that. Bear with me, I'm moving because I've got a limited space here with my tripod. And we'll bring you back tomorrow so you can see what other jars. But look at the jars. Let me angle you down. See how they're bubbling? Let me see. Let me get closer. Oh, I am closer. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Let me angle this back down. And let me turn the tripod. See them bubbling? Another needle? That's exactly what they're doing. That's what they're supposed to do. Okay, we'll bring you back at the last phase and then we'll be done with this batch. Okay, we're back. It's the next day. I take my rings off on all the jars, and look, I can pick them up just by the ring, and they're sealed. I checked all these already. This one, look, did not seal. So this one is going to get eaten for my lunch for tomorrow. I wasn't planning on that, but I am now. But you still want to wipe down the ring. Just pretend it's sealed even though we know it's not. Wipe down your ring. But normally what I would be doing is I would put all these in the sink to soak with some hot soapy water. And then wipe them down. Because you can see right in there in the little grooves inside there. Can you see that? Is pieces of the oil. But I'm just going to wait because I'm taking this to the office tomorrow. That's going to be my lunch. Just put this in the fridge and eat it as soon as you can. Because like anything else in your shelf life, do your own research. You determine how long it'll sit in your shelf. Or if you don't want to, put this in a baggie, a freezer baggie, label it, and save it for another day. I personally don't like to do meat that's been frozen, even though it's been cooked and frozen. I do it on occasion, but I really don't care for it. To me, it's got like an aftertaste. So, but it's not worth it for me. I'll just as soon rearrange my lunch plans and eat this the next day for lunch. This is actually going to make enough for 2 lunches because this is way too much for one person. Okay, so basically all you're going to do now is wipe down all the jars. Because you really tested them all. I like to test them all at one time. And then I wipe them all down. Normally I would do this in the sink, but because of the video, I'm doing it just right here on the table. And then this jar is clean. Then you're going to label it, the product, whatever's inside the product, the month and the year. I like to do month, day, and year just in case. That's just me. Although I know a lot of people just put the year, and that's it. They don't even put the month. I don't like to do the year because not everything lasts the whole year. But anyway, and then that's it. Then I'll put it away. And then we'll get ready for my next batch canning session. I don't know what I'm going to be doing yet. Actually, I kind of have a rough idea what I'm going to be doing. But I'm not going to spoil it. Alrighty. Let me just show you. I will tell you this, be careful because this stuff is greasy. So it's like, okay, I'm trying to get a grip to open my Sharpie. So this is chili, October 5, 2021. And there's my date. Nothing special. And then whenever you're done with that, after you wash them all out, you want to take it off, just get some rubbing alcohol on a paper napkin. I use paper towels. And then wipe that off, and it comes. And typically always comes off. As you can see here, this is an old one. Let me show you this one. This is an old one. It was so old, the lid was so old that the Sharpie wouldn't come off. So, and then I always like to put a little tick mark with a Sharpie right here. That means this seal has been canned once. And I do reuse my seals. I know a lot of people don't do that. Again, that's something else. You got to do your own research. You got to do what's best for you. But I've had great success, really good success, on using my lids 2 or 3 times. So far, I've never used a lid reused a sealed lid in a pressure canner more than 3 times. I've never had to do it yet. But like last year's pandemic, when getting metal lids were really, really scarce, I know a lot of people were doing it and a lot of people were not. Again, it's your own personal research. You decide what's best for you and your family and your financial pocketbook. But, and then with the new material that Ball and Kerr and, what's this other one? This is Harvest Guard are doing with the metal and the rubber sealing. Because, you know, if you look at the boxes now, in fact, I think I have, oh no, I put it away already. Boxes now say that lids last 18 months versus where they used to say they last 12 months. So whatever the material that they're using seems to be working. So I don't know if that has something to do with it or not. I just know that it's been about a year and a half, I have reused my lids in a pressure canning process with meat product, tomato product that's really yucky. It's greasy and everything else. And my jars have sealed, and they're still sealed, because I still always, remember, that's another thing, is always go back and check your seals. When you're back there doing your pantry, you're going into your jars, double check do a quick look-see and all that. Pick a couple of them and pick them up from the lid itself, not the jar, but the lid, to make sure that it's still got a good seal. And of course you'll see by the button that it's down, so the seal is still good. Because, you know, things happen. It's got nothing that you did or didn't do. It's just the way, that's part of pressure canning. So just go in there and double check it. That way you can see if that item in that jar is still good, safe to use, before you go to grab it and you look at it and you open it, it's like, ooh, there's green stuff growing. But thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next video. Don't forget to hit like, comment, and share. And happy pressure canning. Till the next video. Bye-bye.